I don't even know.
Okay, this is the 5th episode of the Crackstreet Boys. Finally, we have Dr. Evan Eindhoven. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Yeah, for the most part.
Dr. Evan Kim?
Yeah, Evan Kim.
Wait, what?
And I'll let him introduce himself.
I'm a first-year sports science resident here at CMCC. Graduated class of 2017, and slowly working on setting up a practice here in Toronto.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Is there a place you're currently practicing right now?
Ruin the sound.
There are 3 of them. So I have 2 locations as part of CheerMed rehab, and that is around DVP in Eglinton and the other one out in Pickering. And then I'm currently also practicing out of Catalyst Training Systems at Dufferin and Steeles.
Nice.
Oh, yo.
Yeah. Okay.
And, okay.
No, you go. What's that?
No, I was just going to say, so I know a lot of people, actually not many people, but a lot of people have been asking, like, we're into the next Crackstreet Boys with a special guest. We love that episode with Dr. Starmer. So finally we have another legitimate chiropractor here who's made it through.
And we
Definitely legitimate.
Yeah.
So before we get to our serious questions, my first question is, out of the entire Crackstreet Boys, who would you say is the biggest voig?
Definitely Isaac.
Man!
Yeah, boom, roasted.
Okay, well,
Yeah. Before we do go on, though, I'd just like to say today is Dr. Evan's birthday. His birthday. He's turning the ripe age of 21. Youngest person to graduate CMCC.
Do I feel a birthday song coming?
No, you don't. But here is a little gift from all of us.
Well, thank you very much, Crackstreet
And
Boys.
You should check.
You should open it right now.
So these are So we'll use those. You can open that up, Dave Tam, and then you can wear one of those hats. So we got him birthday hats, just so we can all wear them.
Oh, yo.
So it's a little more festive
And
while we do the.
I feel a birthday song coming.
Here we go. You'll pass around the clappers.
Yep. So we're all gonna put on these birthday hats right now.
We have to. Yeah,
We can take a group picture after.
Yeah. We should.
Yo, these things always hurt my face.
Yo, Dave Tam needs
I think they hurt everybody's face.
Okay, time now.
No, I got one.
And we have these little clappers from the dollar store. Thanks to Richard for
So
getting
now
them.
we don't have to.
Did you see your
That's
your card?
really annoying.
Card, too.
Yeah.
Hiding.
So now we don't have to use our hands to clap because that's too much.
Look at the sound though.
Yo. Yeah, but now we can save our chiropractic hands.
Oh, yo.
I've never seen a great grandson card anywhere. So
All right, I guess I'll read this out from the Crackstreet Boys to me.
Please do.
Happy birthday, great-grandson. Dear Dr. Evan, great-grandson, you are terrific, special in every way, and this card is sent to wish you the very best birthday. Enjoy your cake and ice cream, your friends and presents too. You may have a ton of fun the whole day through.
Oh, yo.
From the bottom of our hearts, we genuinely appreciate all your help and advice, not to mention how you never fail to create such an open environment at CMCC. All the best. Love the Crackstreet Boys.
Woo. Happy birthday to you.
damn.
Happy birthday.
Broke mine.
Well, they are from the dollar store.
Yeah.
Like $1 for 8 of these. So.
Happy birthday to you.
Nice.
Okay.
So happy birthday,
Who sang that? Anyways.
No. Continue.
So I guess the most obvious question we would say is, so what kind of pushed you into the residency program at CMCC, and why did you pick the?
Wait. Yo, we gotta go before that, man. Like, what inspired you?
Oh, yo.
To become a chiropractor?
Yeah,
first?
why didn't you become like a mechanic or like an artist or rap?
Well, to answer your question on artist, if you've ever seen me draw, that's self-explanatory.
Okay.
I struggle with stick people.
True.
As far as what got me into chiropractic, I've been seeing one since I was about 10 years old. I had some issues with scoliosis when I was younger, and so as a young child I had some back pain. Went to the chiropractor. She'd always fix me up and made sure nothing was progressing too far. As I hit my growth spurts, it mostly went away. Still got a little bit of a curve, but mostly gone. Then as I got older, did a lot of sports, did a lot of athletics, and I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do. But I knew going into university I wanted to do something around the human body, healthcare, or athletics. I had a pipe dream for a short period of time to be a gym teacher, and decided that was a terrible idea when I got to university. Was never really interested in medical school that much. I didn't want to do the prescription writing thing, and I wanted to be that person who was one-on-one with the patient, kind of guiding them back to function. And so as cool as the job as being a medical doctor is, I wanted to do that hands-on, get you back to doing what I want you to be able to do. So towards the end of school at University of Waterloo, started shadowing some chiros and some physios, met a couple of amazing chiros, and that kind of pushed me towards being here at CMCC.
Sick.
How come was CMCC your first choice, or did you ever look into any of the American schools or
CMCC is the only chiropractic school I applied to.
The Asian schools?
What? You'll speak up.
The Asian schools?
Yeah.
I did not apply to the Asian schools.
The Pyongyang chiropractic school for boys?
Is that where you applied?
For boys.
Yes. Hispanic Korea, man.
All boys.
Yo, that's only South Korea. North Korea, I don't think technically banned chiropractic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like
I'm sure it's
Oh, you wanna
widely
go there.
accepted there. I'm sure they practice it on a regular basis.
That's where Isaac's going to go when he graduates.
Yeah. Straight back.
Yo, what? Oh, what the heck? I'm not North Korean, but
Okay.
actually, it's kind of side topic. I probably am, but that's a big history. So I guess our follow up question to that is, while you were here, like, was that something that you knew about, like the residency program at CMCC? Is that something you knew about beforehand, or is that something that was kind of introduced to you while you were here, and kind of like what? Tell us the story of like how you got pushed or into that, or what inspired you.
So I learned about it while I was here. Interacted with a few residents going through school as TAs, anatomy tutors, whatever else, going through things. They were always really friendly people, really knowledgeable, and always thought at the beginning, first year, second year, the residency is where I'm going to go. Towards the end of second year, started getting a little bit of burnout, and through third year, I started wondering, like, maybe I'm just going to finish off chiro school, get out of here, head on down to a practice somewhere and start being an adult. And then when I got to fourth year again, I had two absolutely phenomenal clinicians here. Dr. Alex Lee.
Oh,
and,
Dr. Alex Lee.
Yeah, we all shadowed him.
Yeah.
We did, yeah.
All of us did.
And then
No,
Dr. Chadwick Chung after that down at St. Mike's. So Dr. Alex Lee is a sport fellow, and Dr. Chadwick Chung is a clinical science fellow. And it just blew me away interacting with both of them, the amount of knowledge and hands-on skill that both of them had. And that kind of pushed me to decide I wanted to learn more, I wanted to be better. So I applied to the residency program here at CMCC. Originally, I was torn between the two residencies, and I think I was one of the
What do you mean
first.
just two? What about DI?
Radiology wasn't really my passion. I can read an x-ray, but I don't want to be in a dark room for the rest of my life. But yeah, so pretty much I was torn between the two.
Right.
And I actually applied to both. Confused the people in student services a little bit because they said they weren't really sure if anyone had ever done that before.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
groundbreaking.
Nice.
But yeah, so I couldn't decide, and I put in an application to both of them. And then they made me decide before the interviews which one I wanted to do because I was only allowed to interview for one. And just after talking to some of the other residents and fellows out there, I decided the sports residency was a better fit with me.
It's cool.
Do you want
Yeah, I have a question. Like from what I heard, clinical sciences residency is like a lot of research based. Sports res is also, but can you tell us kind of like the difference between the two?
So your clinical science, they do a lot of research based. They do a lot of discussion. It's very based around the evidence. They'll have discussions between the 2 years about the current state-of-the-art evidence and things, and they have a very large focus on overall spinal and diagnostics and everything around those lines. A lot of them have placements inside of hospitals and looking towards that interprofessional care model. So like I know right now, one of my colleagues, Dr. Adeboyjo, she's doing a placement at one of the St. Mike's hospital locations right now and kind of goes through and assesses the patients down there. Whereas in the sports residency, we still do a lot of research. Every residency does a lot of research. But the classes we take are a little bit different. So we have a sports nutrition class, we have a special topics and sports chiropractic class, and we do more hands-on stuff with Dr. Kazemi in that class, as well as go with him to Taekwondo tournaments.
Big Chow.
Like Nick Chow over there.
Nice.
And so we get to shadow him with that and do various assessments on the athletes there and kind of work on our skills.
This is a side note. So when you say you have classes, is there like, it's like there's like two of you sitting there and then listening to lectures?
Anywhere between 4 and like 10 people. Yeah.
So for the uninformed, like how many residents are there per year?
They'll accept up to 10 a year. There's not always 10 a year. And that 10 is split between the 3 different residencies here at CMCC.
Cool.
Do you have to do a certain like field hours with certain sports teams, something like that? Like similar to like athletic therapy? I don't know.
For the sports one, I do. For the clinical sciences, they do not. Different stipulations for different colleges that you're going to become a fellow of when you get out. So as part of the RCCSS and finishing my sport fellowship here, I need to do 1,000 hours of sport coverage.
Oh, wow. 1,000. Angelina Jolie.
So I guess a lot of people are kind of worried because they're like, oh my gosh, like 4 years of school. Then it's like, whoa, 2 more years of school. Like, how do you? Because you said you also still work right now.
Yep.
How do you find working and doing this school, quote unquote, at the same time? Like, do you find it overwhelming still being in the school?
You just learn to not sleep.
Oh, okay.
Can
Cool.
you give us like a day in the life of Dr. Evan?
So today I was a little bit lazy, being the birthday and all, but
Treat yourself.
treat myself.
Treat yourself.
I woke up bright and early, somewhere around 6:40. Hung out with the wife a little bit and dropped her off at work. Came home.
Wait, you're married?
I am
We knew-
married,
you
yes.
knew that.
Yo, Derek, you're so
Lost my
uninformed,
chance.
man.
Alright.
Got the ring. But yeah, then came home, ate some food, cleaned up the house a little bit, and a patient came over. Treated him, then the wife actually came home from work sick today, so we just hung out for a little bit, and I was lazy. Then went to the gym, did that for a little bit.
I see those biceps.
Yeah, he's got a double.
Oh!
He's got a double.
Oh,
got a double
shit.
bicep pose going on right now. You can't see it,
Oh,
but it is
Yeah.
impressive.
Then met up with these gorgeous Crackstreet boys here.
I thought you were call us goons for a second.
No, but I did find a new logo for your guys' crew for later. I'll show you guys in a little bit.
Excited.
Alright.
Yeah, the wife sent it to me and said special for Isaac.
What? I feel like every time I post something on Dr. Evans' Facebook wall or like comment or something, I feel like in some ways your wife is more troll than you.
Yep, she's definitely a little bit of a troll sometimes, and then being in a profession, you've got to be sometimes a little bit careful what you post on Facebook. So
Yeah.
she trolls pretty hard though.
That's true.
Question is, how do you propose to her?
Let's listen to this story.
Oh, okay.
All right, so that one was kind of funny.
Wait, hold on. Take us back. How did you meet her?
We met in first year university back at University of Waterloo.
Nice.
Like 50 years ago.
Wada wada wada.
Oh my god. Just stop.
Okay, fine.
Just stop. Okay, go on. Go on.
He's just jealous that he went to U of T instead.
Yeah, I'm just.
Their Dragon Boat
Went to a
team
better
wasn't as
school.
cool.
But we always won.
I didn't vote. But anyway, so we met in our first week there during orientation week. Then got to know each other for a little bit and started dating midway through October. After about 2 years at Waterloo, she left and actually went over to U of T. But
How's
the
it
U of
feel?
T Mississauga campus.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, I don't really count that as U of T.
Oh man.
Shots fired
No,
to
I'm
those
just kidding.
poor UTM kids.
No, I'm kidding. They have a super nice gym.
They have a gorgeous gym.
Incredible. But
Yeah.
continue, sir.
Anyway, so years went on, and I decided to propose to her as a graduation trip.
Wait, years went on, so like, what do you mean? Like 4 years went on?
I proposed to her in my second year here at CMCC.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So like 7 years.
Wait, damn, you were pretty young then too, though.
Yep. But anyway, so I decided to disguise it. and told her, pick anywhere in the world you want to go as a graduation trip, and we'll make it happen over the Christmas holidays. And she decided to be frugal, partially influenced by her dad, and her dad convinced her that she wanted to go to Cuba because she'd never been to Cuba before. I was pitching some other ideas to her, like Greece, Italy, Paris, that kind of stuff, but we ended up in Cuba.
Okay.
Then I proposed to her the first night we got there, petrified going through the airport, everything else like that, that I was going to get like pulled aside and searched or asked about it or something like that.
Why is that ringing? No.
Yeah, excuse me, sir. What's this ring doing in your pocket?
Exactly. Nobody wants that. But so we got to the resort, and we got to the resort a little bit after midnight.
Oh.
And I had talked to the resort ahead of time and asked them to set up in our room, kind of like flowers and champagne and that kind of stuff. Open up the room door, nothing set up.
Classic resort.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking in my head, well, do I just go through with it? Do I hold it off and see if it comes later? And I decided to just go through with it. Proposed. She said yes. Went and grabbed a late night drink and some grilled cheese or something like that at one of the bars that was still open and went on. So talked to the resort owner the next day, and he felt super bad.
Yeah, you
and
should.
he was just like, I'm going to make it up to you guys. Don't worry. He's like, come out to the show tonight. At the end of the show, he's like, we'll have something extra special planned just for you guys. He's like, just be there. It's going to be great. And so we're expecting, okay, maybe we'll get like some private entertainment, some sort of like dance lessons, something cute like that. Little did we know, he called the two of us up in front of about 1,000 people at the resort, put us on stage, no warning, passes me a microphone, BS'd my way through some sort of speech in front of all these people. Val's just like completely red in the face. And then they made us dance with their dancers in front of the entire resort to a dance that we'd never seen before.
Yeah, that guy's just messing with you.
Yo, he's a troll.
Yeah, but we made it through it, and yeah, so the rest of the trip went pretty
That's
well.
actually a good story. That's something you remember.
That's
though.
adorable. Yeah, that's an awesome story.
And then my favorite part, though, was that summer we were planning out like an engagement party, and Val just kind of clued in, and she was like, "Wait, were you planning to propose to me on like some ancient temple in Greece or something like that?" And I was like, "Well, that was the plan." I'm like, "You wanted to go to Cuba," and so of course she like grabs a ring, pulls it off. She's like, "We got to do this again."
Makes you feel bad.
But yeah, I trolled her and I wouldn't let her have a redo.
Good.
Yeah, I wish Isaac would propose to me like that.
Man, I've freaking known these guys for like 8 months now, and nothing's really happened. Like, I mean, I'm not saying like. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you are just saying.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Saying.
Why are you looking at me like that?
What?
That deep gaze.
Man,
I hope we get to see a
propose.
proposal at CMCC before we graduate.
that'd be crazy, man.
I think. Oh yeah, we were talking about who was the most likely out of our group to get married first.
I was not.
Is it Nick?
Dick Chow?
No, Nick Chow.
No,
Which one of the 12 Nicks in our group is it?
We can see him
Our
now.
year
Nicholas
actually
Chow.
has so many nicks. Like, we do.
No, I was gonna say it's gonna be Dave Tam.
What? Dave
Yeah, Dave Tam.
Why though? Why do you
Because-
think I'm gonna get married first?
Because if I was a woman, I would marry you.
Is your slogan "Wham Bam, Thank You, Tam"?
Oh, what the
No.
Dang, man, those pickup lines, man.
man? This
Write that down.
this is why Dr. Evans married already.
And,
We're not.
yeah, so why would sadness.
We got off track, but that was interesting. There's a lot of questions that people are having about kind of the residency program, and that like Richard was saying, it's an extra couple of years to devote to more academia, and obviously you get your DC title and you can practice, but in like for you, like what would you say is kind of the most benefit to you, and maybe some of the hardships as well that you feel?
So first and foremost, with the residency, it is a lot of work and takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So if you're not passionate about it and it's not something you really want to do, then the residency may not be for you. And between juggling work, juggling school, juggling research, it definitely gets taxing. But if it's something you really, really want to do, you're going to make it work and you're going to make time for it. What was that about? Juggling things you wanted to know, or something like that?
Yeah. I also just realized that we've been using the wrong mic, but it's okay.
Yeah, we're using your MacBook mic, right?
But it's still fine. The quality is still like decent, but now we've moved on to the next level.
Is that not going to affect
I just see
it?
the
No. It's not going to. Do is that the ambient sound's going to change a bit, but it's okay because we're not in the rad lab anymore. There's no like fan running in the background.
New secret location.
We should have done this in the front of the library. The loudest place at CMCC. Was it always that loud when you were at CMCC too?
It depended. Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Man, it's just like, it's not a conventional library setting.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's always like, oh hey, how are you doing today? Like, it's just like, I don't know, it's just like, it's a lot.
Well, if you want it quiet, go hide upstairs in like the study
No,
cubby.
we had this debate. We had this thing like a couple
don't have
episodes
nice
ago.
computers,
It's like a greenhouse up there,
It's either really cold or really warm. One of the two.
but
The place sometimes if you want to go hide away and study.
the rad lab.
Not just that, naturopathic college.
Oh, Isaac tried to.
Okay, so I tried.
infiltrate the-
I infiltrated the naturopath page, and then I tried to be like pretend to be I'm in that school too, and then I messaged some girl, and then I'm like, hey, I'm what if I wasn't in this school, and then could I come study at the library sometime? And then she's like, actually, our library is pretty small, so it's pretty much for students only. And I wanted to say like, how would you tell? But
There's a way to tell which people studying there are Kairos and which people are Natros, and it usually has to do with what food we bring with us.
Interesting.
Oh,
So you just gotta bring like
so
empty
we'll
model.
they'll bring like kale, but we're gonna bring spinach.
Well, we more or less just ordered like Pizza Hut while we were studying, or you'd walk in with a bag from McDonald's.
I feel like they like
Us
they would have,
Kairos
like,
with our healthy study snacks.
Yes.
But yeah, the library itself does have hours, and it closes at a certain time, but they leave all their classrooms unlocked, and they have security there 24 hours.
What?
So a lot of chiropractor
Wait, this is
students-
news to me. I live across the street from CCN.
CCM.
Yeah.
Yeah, the front door is open 24 hours a day.
What?
And
I'm not coming to
you
school
can go
anymore.
study in the classrooms.
I'm not coming to school anymore. I'm not even joking. I'm just gonna study at CCNM.
You have Panopto everything?
Yeah, we're 21st century. I didn't know that.
That's crazy.
The problem is, I thought that like, first of all, like I know when you're at U of T and you're trying to like stay kind of late, they scan your student cards, and I guess here technically you wouldn't be able to tell if you're from CMCC or not if you came to the library. Then again, I don't recognize some people in our own year. So.
Exactly. There's a lot of people here who don't make it out to class very often.
Richard?
No, but I'm always in the library. I'm like, man. I see people, even now, like yesterday, I saw someone, I'm like, who is this? I've never seen this person before. It's crazy.
Yeah, no. From Mod 1 to Mod 4, like, you see this class just, like, slowly dying off.
I will show you something.
Such passion.
Yeah. So, Dr. Evan, would you, like, I guess if people in our year, if they wanted to apply or they had an intention of applying for the sports residency or any residency, what would be, like, your number one tip for them?
Oh yeah, so grades do matter, right? You have to.
Grades do matter.
Yeah.
Every class has a different applicant pool, so that cutoff average does change. There's a lot of variance in my own class for where the averages are. The biggest advice I'd give anybody here is just do you.
Just do it.
Everybody in the sport residency had a different background. Myself, I wasn't hugely involved with high-level athletics while I was going through here. I worked part-time at York University doing ergonomics.
Okay.
So that's how I occupied my time. I was a bit of a keener, and I had a pretty good average applying in. Most of us are all good averages, but it all varies along that scale. My colleagues, Dr. Kerman, she's highly involved with tennis and bodybuilding. Dr. Abdelkader is largely involved in the fencing community. And Dr. Bell has kind of dipped himself into a little bit of everything, but his big sport going through university was varsity volleyball.
So interesting.
What's your favorite sport? Or
Basketball.
Sports?
Basketball. How come you never play basketball in the gym with us?
How come you never invited me to play basketball in the gym with you?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yes. Damn. That's right.
Because I don't know. You can play with us next time.
I'm wearing a basketball jersey right now.
Like game of horse.
I have a question as well. In terms of the research part of the sports res, is it like you do your own research project, or like how does that work?
So, as part of the sports residency, by the end of the 2 years, you need to have 4 papers completed. 2 of them are case write-ups or case series, which can either be cases you're writing up for another doc who ran into it, or cases you've run into yourself in practice. You have to do an original research project, so essentially a thesis, and a systematic review.
Wow. Can you do anything you want, or does it have to be approved by a certain like board or something?
So for the sport residency, it has to have something to do with athletes and sports performance along those lines. In clinical sciences, broadly based, it doesn't. They have a little bit more options on that. And then same thing with the radiology resident. I don't know that much about the radiology residency, but
Daphne.
yeah. Dr. Toe.
Dr. Toe? Here's my. Actually, I can't talk about the rad lab.
We will.
Don't.
She's a good instructor.
Yep. She's good at what she does.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And sometimes, let's just say that during the rad labs, there's some betrayals going on because it's divided in half.
Man.
She only teaches half.
Don't get me started.
And I'm just saying that, some people who aren't supposed to be on Dr. Toe's side that week are on that side. And some people are stuck on the other side 4 consecutive weeks in a row. But, I mean, I like...
So what Isaac is really trying to say,
I'm not
between
saying
all
nothing.
the stuttering,
I'm not saying
is
nothing. I'm not saying nothing.
that
Let's just-
he personally likes Dr. Toe.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's what I heard too.
Let's-
Verbatim.
Let's move on to the next topic.
As Isaac turns a little bit more red in the face.
Yeah.
No.
Get right.
That's because Derek's
Yeah.
axillary region is being so close to me.
Tight.
Derek's a bodybuilder now, by the way.
No.
What
I
was
hate bodybuilding.
what was your favorite class at CMCC? And favorite year?
That is really hard to say.
And favorite
Well,
prof?
Dr.
Um,
Lukachu?
Dr. Lukachu is phenomenal if you have him one-on-one. If you get him alone in the lab, he has an amazing amount of knowledge about almost everything. Sometimes to a point that it's hard to digest it all. It's hard to say. What was my favorite class? In first year, probably biomechanics with Dr. Wang.
Yeah.
First year was probably my favorite year as far as the academic years, just because it was laid back, not quite as intense, and a little bit more free time on the side.
Damn.
Fourth year probably being my favorite year overall, just because we got to actually get hands-on, hone our skills, and you had some off days to kind of de-stress. Second and third year were interesting too, just intense academically.
That's good.
What's your absolute all-time favorite class? Like one that lasted left a leaving impression on you, or lasting impression on you.
I'd have to say technique.
Oh. Okay.
Depends on the tutor, but yeah, I agree.
What are you trying to say, Derek?
What?
What are you trying to say publicly on the...
Yeah, what are you trying to say on the podcast?
Wait,
Jared?
what?
Conflicting views. Are you trying
Who's your favorite prof?
I don't really have one favorite. I'm sure as you guys have already noticed, there are a lot of phenomenal profs here at CMCC. There's one that I want to give a shout out to just for her passion though, which is Dr. Isla Azad.
Wait, was that a foreshadowing?
You get her for a class called Women's Care in third year.
Nice.
And you'll interact with her as a tech tutor and other things before then, but she's just so passionate about the chiropractic profession, wanting to help out students, wanting to advocate for patients, and everything else that our profession has to do with. And just seeing her talk is inspiring.
She gives a lot of good advice too, and a lot of good life advice, not just chiropractic advice. If you ever get to talk to her one-on-one, because
Yeah, I love her stories in tech class.
and her accolades are amazing too.
I think it's kind of nice to know, like, the professors here, at least, like, I don't know for other universities or institutions, but the professors here, it's not necessarily like they're here for pay, but they are here because they really do like to teach.
Most of them make less money being here than they'd be making spending the same time in their own practices. Almost every professor here at CMCC is here because they're passionate about education and passionate about the school.
Would you ever return to teach?
I might. I think I need to get a couple more years of experience under my belt. As part of the residency program, we do help out with teaching. We help out in the anatomy lab. We help out with teaching CE. So currently I have a second year CE class that I help out with. And then I also help out in the simulation lab.
That's cool.
Does how come it's in the simulation lab? It's just a side question. How come it's basically just you that's kind of running it when Starmer is not there?
Because I volunteered.
Oh, okay, it's volunteer. I thought you guys were getting forced to do it.
We're not forced to do that one. Dr. Starmer reached out to the group of us and asked if anybody had any free time in the evenings that they wanted to do it. Out of the residents, I also live the closest to the school, so it's, I guess, easier to get here.
How close do you live?
About 5 minutes away
By car?
by some sort of transportation.
What? Name the closest main intersection.
Street
Leslie
number?
and Steele.
Damn.
I think that sounds like an invitation to me.
Yeah, it's true. We were all supposed to come over for dinner.
Well, we were all supposed to come over to. So Dr. Evan went on this little trip to Montreal, I think, during the long weekend a couple weeks ago.
I was gonna say, I was expecting for this podcast for you to like lure me into some sort of weird room with a single bed, and he drew out this schematic for us on how to fit large number of people into one bed, with all this practicality, where somehow he set it up where he'd be laying on top of about 8 different guys.
I think it's still in the sim lab. You can check it out on the whiteboard. It's human Tetris at its finest, right there.
Okay,
He's just super passionate about this too.
it's just simple math. Like, okay, so if all of us want to go skiing and stuff like that, the biggest cost in those situations is like basically where are you gonna stay? And Dr. Evan said he had like an Airbnb with 5 rooms, so he was gonna go with his wife and another couple, I think.
Not just 2 other people.
Two other unrelated people. So that means one person gets one room, the other person gets another room. Dr. Evan and his wife, or no, Dr. Evan's wife can get another room.
Why
And
would
then-
you? Why would you put them separate?
And then no, because we need Dr. Evan with us because
Why?
we need
Why would he choose like a room with 7 dudes or his wife?
we need a Cairo supervisor.
This was the question I had for him too when he was drawing it out. He had literally 8 or 9 people drawn into this bed, and I'm like, why would I opt to be in this bed
There's
when I can be in a room with my wife and actually have room?
What did your wife say? Did she say like you should just go with them?
She just had her mind blown by this schematic you threw out, and she's like, yeah, go with them. She's
Exactly.
like, I'll enjoy my time.
Because then there's 2 rooms left, and like one room always has to be a guest room, it has to be empty. So in the single room that we're in, like, you know, what if I don't know, like you need an adult, and like we're not really, I wouldn't consider us true adults until we're 25, I feel.
Is that a good age to call yourself an adult?
Yeah, because it's like when you're in your early 20s, you're kind of a goon, and then
I think it's just us.
when you're 25, it's like I'm almost 30, and then when you're 30, it's like
I'm 25.
I'm actually 30, and when you're 35, it's like I'm almost 40, and once you're 40, then you're a real man. But
Beer grows out instantly.
wait, how old are you right now?
How old do you think I am?
Let's do the math. So you graduated 22. I'm assuming you didn't take a break. So it's 26. So you must be 20. You must be 27 now.
I'm 28.
Oh.
Quick maths.
Quick maths.
So 28. That means. See that.
I did a 5-year undergrad at University of
Oh.
Waterloo for the co-op program.
Okay. Okay. I didn't consider that.
By the way, courtesy of Val, here's the new logo for your guys' podcast.
Who made it?
Yo, what the heck?
It's a.
Yo, what the hell?
So just to describe to the viewers what we're seeing, it's just.
It's actually 4 freaking possible like drug addicts.
No, I think it's 4 mugshots of. Yeah,
Crack users.
Definitely crack.
Man.
Definite chronic crack users.
No, there our new. Okay, Richard photoshopped something yesterday.
No.
It was
See, because if it has all of you guys in it, though,
That's
the Backstreet
true.
Boys,
Here.
it's got like.
But I feel like we can expand
see.
on. Yeah.
But there's too many people in that. The
There is.
Backstreet Boys.
We have to, and we can just put each other, like, crop the faces on top of it.
Yeah.
That's true.
There's only 5 of us right now because we got betrayed.
Well, what you can do is you can get yourself up to 10, and then just kind of use some Photoshop skills and like chimeritize yourselves together.
Oh, yo, Dragon Ball
Half and
Fusion.
half.
Yeah, fusion.
Oh, yo.
Do the fusion dance.
I love being inside Isaac King. I mean, shifting gears, I have a semi-serious question.
Yep.
So a lot of people are concerned, after graduating, finding jobs as a chiro.
Oh, yeah.
Where you work, like cheerleading, gym, catalyst training. Is that a gym as well?
It's a gym, yeah.
Yeah. Pretty unique places. So I was just wondering if you have any advice and how do you end up at those locations?
So I kind of fell into them. One of my groomsmen for my wedding is a competitive cheerleader, and he posted a random status up for a friend of his who runs Cheermed Rehab that they were looking to hire people, and I shot him a message, and he set me up an interview with the owner. She got along with me and decided to hire me, so that's how I got into the cheerleading world. Then Catalyst Training Systems. This is just a great picture over behind Isaac right now.
No one cared about who I was until I put on the mask. Is there one more?
No, this is it.
No.
Do you want one?
I want to talk like the Bane.
You want to talk like Bane? Yeah, and then Catalyst, a friend of mine was one of the co-owners of the gym, and he had been running a bit of a clinic out of the front of it. He took a job in Edmonton recently, and just approached me to see whether or not I'd be interested in treating clients out of the gym.
What's that catalyst training? Is it like CrossFit, powerlifting, weightlifting? Is it just like a kind of commercialized strength and conditioning type of gym?
So I'd call it more of like a box gym. They're not CrossFit. They do have some powerlifting focus, but they do boot camps, they do one-on-one personal training, they do group training, and it's more or less just individualized training programs. The head trainer there, Sean, is very, very good at what he does. He'll meet with you. He does nutrition coaching. He does training coaching and everything else like that with people. And as far as I've heard from any of his clients, does a phenomenal job over there.
So kind of related to that, in your graduating class, do you keep in touch with many people that you graduated with?
A number of them.
And like, how would you say like people are doing in general? Like, is it, because that's something I think everyone worries about, especially the closer you get to 4th year. But even maybe also in 1st year, out of like an uneducated paranoia, it's not many people are sure like how it's going to turn out.
So there's a wide variety out there,
Yeah.
and a lot of that's going to depend on the connections you have beforehand, or friends you make going through, or where you even want to set up. Here in Toronto, it's a highly competitive market, and you're going to have to either have a niche that you set up in, a pre-existing relationship, or work your butt off to get your patients in the door. If you want to go to a smaller area, your overhead is going to be a lot lower. There's going to be less competition, and you might have a better job finding patients. As well, some of the other provinces in the prairies or on the East Coast, the saturation is a lot lower. and you might have a easier job getting a higher volume clinic out in those areas. The biggest thing is pretty much find how you want to practice, the style you want to do, and start shadowing people, start getting in touch with mentors, set up those relationships while you go through school, and you'll find something. So there's some people who are doing incredibly well, that are probably on track to clear close to 6 figures in their first year out. Ooh. And then there's other people who might hit 25K. So it's a wide variety, and it all depends on you and where you want to be.
Do you ever plan on opening your own clinic in the future after graduation, or?
So that's partially going to depend where I set up. I haven't 100% decided on what city I want to be in long term, but there's a definite possibility along the lines. First, I have to pay off the loans I have from this place.
I got a proposition for you.
What's that?
So I got a company. Oh man, it's called Juice
It's called what?
Juice It's a combination of a restaurant, a clothing line, a fragrance, and a chiropractic clinic. I haven't set up like the actual brick and mortar stores yet, but I have investments. Richard invested like early on in the year.
How much? Like $5?
10 grand. Like it's a promise.
So there's no real money, just promises of money.
I mean, you saw Wolf of Wall Street, right? Like,
Man, I didn't.
Richard's looking like he has buyer's remorse over there.
but also like if you ever start up your clinic, imagine if you just hired all of us as your associates, how much money you'd get.
They only get money if you had patience, though.
Yeah.
What if?
You'd lose so much
Wait,
money.
no, I had a good idea, but it's not ethical. Because I was gonna say like, what if you ran like a goon squad, where
Where what, people like knock at people's knees and then
And then-
they have to come in to get treatment for that?
So Isaac's proposing for his future clinic model.
No, I never
He's
said
gonna run
nothing.
out on the road and like hurt people.
No.
Then throw business cards at
I'm gonna
them.
make my own business, yeah. Make my
You know
own
how like Batman like leaves this like batarang, and it's like, oh, that was the Batman. It's like you just leave your business card, but no, that's.
Damn. That's so. Oh man.
But is there anyone else who has any other questions regarding the residency or for Dr.
no.
Evan?
Not about the residency now.
What would you like to ask about?
Can we talk about like school clubs or like
yeah.
courses we can take throughout the year?
Sure.
We're here, yeah. So
What are some of the?
yeah.
Dr. Coucher?
No, I'm supposed to be the Bane.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I know you were running the Extremity Club, right?
Yep.
Yeah. How did that start?
It more or less started after I took a course with a couple of my classmates. Foot Leveler is one of the orthotic companies in this area. They run various CE and seminar series, and at least when I was going through school.
I don't want to interrupt, but the recording just cut off for the past like 10 seconds. So if you want to.
All right, so pretty much I took a seminar in, I believe, second year, and we did a lot of extremity adjusting at that seminar, and we were just finding that we wanted to enrich the curriculum and practice extremity adjusting, learn more about treating various extremity conditions, and we wanted a space to be able to do that. Although we learn a lot in our technique systems, we found that we just wanted a place to get more practice in. And so we set up the club, myself and a colleague of mine, Ali Ravji. And we had Dr. Dennis Liu as our club supervisor, and he'd come in and we'd go through various adjustments.
Dr. Derek Liu?
Dr. Derek Liu.
I was looking at freaking Richard.
Dr. Dennis Liu. Yeah, and so we went in there, we'd do talks on various topics, we'd bring in speakers, we did adjusting, and just kind of went through with that. Then now it's been handed off to Andrew Mercer and Dave Kim, 2 fourth years at the school, and then in a month or so, they're probably going to be looking into people to take over the club for them.
I feel like there's only been like 2 things that club has done this year, though.
Yeah, it's been a little slow this year.
Yeah.
They tried to bring in a couple of other things, and it fell through. So hopefully whoever takes over the club next year will set up a little bit more. They are bringing in some speakers again later on in May, and they're going to be doing a focus on assessing and treating shoulders at the next one.
Nice. Nick Chow, you should take over. You should dethrone them.
Nick Hitmonlee.
Man, Nick Chow goes to, I think, every single club possible. I don't think there's a single club meeting that you've missed by any club.
I
Wow,
try to
Chad.
go to most of them.
Yeah, I don't think
to,
you've been. Have you gone to Thompson Club?
I went to the first one,
Oh,
but
Okay.
they
Never
were
mind.
starting to adjust before we even
How about
started.
Activator Club? Do you go to that one?
A bit, yeah.
What?
Pediatrics Club?
No, not that one.
Oh, okay. What about Run Club?
Do you go running?
Yes, I do run.
Okay, I'll tell you my story with Nick Chow. So, we did running club. It was like a big blizzard, like one of those, probably the biggest blizzards of the year. And Nick Chow was supposed to run like 6 kilometers, something like that, and I ran 4. I barely finished, and by the time I got back, Nick Chow was already chilling in the lobby, and he did. We started at the same time, so just letting you know.
You can also do the splits, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll be like working out in the gym, and then you like crack your neck, you turn around, you open your eyes, and Nick Chow's just on the floor, and the regular splits are too easy for him, so he puts like boxes under his legs, so he has a deficit. Yo, what the heck?
What?
Where'd you get the other one?
I've always had 3.
You had 3? Oh, what the?
Sorry, we're talking about birthday hats. I've always had 3 birthday hats.
So I guess it's pretty good to pretty much wrap it up.
Wait, last question.
We got through most of the questions we need, but we'll get one last question to Derek Liu.
It's not even a good question to like wrap up on, but I'm just wondering, how is the application process for the sports res? Did you do any like volunteer research in your undergrad?
We should have asked this earlier.
Or, like,
Okay, I started a project in my undergrad as part of our graduation requirements. We actually had to do a research
yeah.
project. That was removed after my class. So the one that I was looking into was around efficacy of testosterone boosting supplements. We ran into some hiccups and things like that and never got to run the actual study. So we didn't publish, but completed a procedure paper with Dr. Budgel here at CMCC.
Nice. Cool. I think that's everything, right?
Okay, first I want to try my Bane impression before I finish. What's a good quote? Oh, you think darkness is your ally?
Yo, I don't think I can hear that.
Big Floyd?
Oh,
You're
okay,
right.
that's a good
I'm
time to
here.
end. Okay, thank you for watching, everybody. We have next week. I think we have a special guest, but we have to get back with them.
Stay tuned.
And the week after that, I think we have finally an interprofessional guest that was supposed to be this week. I don't disrespect.
We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd like to thank Dr. Evan
Thank you
for coming on to the show.
thank you.
For, it was actually very informative.
Floating in the vista, swing at the this shot. I missed out with 8 inches locked up in the zipper. 2 time and take it to the top. Tongue twister, lyrics is so hot, so when I spit my tongue blister. Catch me with your sister, head down, getting